is not exactly on that, so I don't know if I can, but since I have both of them, I would like to exploit the opportunity to ask a question on Greece. We know the situation right now, it's an turning point from one hand, but Greece said that they're not going to do any new proposal. Do we have to wait in the next day a new high official saying that Grexit now is an option? I would like to know the position of the Commission on that. Thank you.
Well, as regards situation in Greece, indeed, European Commission has been working very hard to facilitate the agreement between Greece side to do this final effort, to do the final push to reach the agreement. So, as you know, institutions, European Commission, together with IMF and ECB, has prepared a proposal which we believe is a good basis for just a few examples. For example, on primary surplus targets, we're coming with proposals which substantially lower primary surplus targets than going up to 3.5% in coming years. Also, actually, foreseeing much more gradual increase in primary surplus. Eurogroup conclusions already in February. We're ready to discuss other measures if Greek authorities indicate, for example, that they are not accepting some of the program measures. There are discussions, for example, on VAT, on electricity, or supplements for small pension. Technical level looked at, for example, Greece has a second highest share of GDP in defense spending from all EU member states, just to give one example. So if the intention of the Greek government is not to take the measures which are affecting some vulnerable parts of population, European Commission is willing to agree to this and look at alternative proposals. But in this case, it's important that Greek side actually not only communicates what they do not want to do, but also what they do want to do. So at this stage, we are not planning any meetings now for today or tomorrow. European Commission, we had been saying it since the very beginning that our analysis shows that